Hello, I am Matt Williamson. How's it going today? Hope everyone's okay with the storms. We got hit pretty hard the other day. It sounds like there's more coming. I'm recording this Thursday evening. But it is mailbag day, and you guys, as usual, ask great questions and overwhelmed me with lots of great ones. So it was hard to narrow them down. But T-Mac, this is kind of a two-parter. T-Mac, or two people kind of asked about this. Where does Calvin Austin III fit on the roster? Pickens and Metcalf aside, Wilson, Woods, Muth, Washington on the inside. Okay, I'm sorry. Pickens and Metcalf on the outside, Wilson, Woods, Muth, Washington on the inside. He's not a good blocker in a run-first offense. All the mentions are better pass catchers and route runners. Is a seventh-round pick a better trade block? Basically what he asked here is a seventh-round pick a better punt returner than him? Trade block, ? And then Joey Bag of Donuts asks, who do you see being the third wide receiver? Seems pretty crowded between Austin, Wilson, Woods. All good questions. And again, this is a good topic for sure. I don't see Austin being a trade candidate. I mean, I'm not 100%, 1,000% sure that Pickens is on the roster when everything's said and done. Now, I think he will be. I think they were listening to trades. I don't know if they were actively trying to trade him, but there were discussions, I'm sure. I got the impression that the return was just too low. But maybe if you get a next year pick, get a little bit better. You know, Dallas was rumored, but that's not what you're asking about. And if I were to trade Pickens, I would be looking to trade for another receiver. I still think you need one more if you get rid of a starter. Now, Austin's really interesting to me because I think he has gotten better and better. I think he can play outside or in. I think he's an average punt returner. I don't know if the seventh round pick is a better punt returner or worse, but we will find that out in camp. And that'd be great if he is, because an upgrade is always good. I just don't think you'd get much for Austin, and I definitely think he's valuable. And one thing we have seen here is they will use numerous receivers. Do we know Wilson is a great player or useful? I think Woods is very short-lived. But I understand what you're saying. Like, I don't think it's crowded. I just think that's just... It's crowded compared to last year. I mean, where the Van Jeffersons of the world and Allen Robinsons of the world, frankly, really wouldn't see the field with this group of receivers. But I think you'll see a little bit higher percentage of 3 receiver sets. And I think you're well equipped to do it now. So this is just a plus wide receiver room in the NFL. And I think it'll sort itself out. I don't think they know the answers of the pecking order, so to speak. I'm not sure Woods even makes a team. You know, I mean, if Wilson and Austin are ahead of him at cutdown date, maybe you cut Woods because he's not going to help on special teams. So I wouldn't worry too much about this. I mean, I see why the questions arise, but I don't think they know the answers, but I think that there are much better options than there have been. Michael Bradley asks, Matt, I was very excited about Leal last preseason before he got hurt. What you say about Leal? He's still only 24, which is important. You know, he mentioned Sebastian Castro is only 24. Yeah, and I was starting to get excited about him too. Now, a couple things on Leal, and we'll know this in the next week or two when we're down there for mini camps and stuff like that. I wonder what they're asking him in terms of weight, size. Do they see him still as a D lineman that can play a little edge outside linebacker? Or do they want him to get slim and be an outside linebacker? I bet that answer is no, especially with the Sawyer addition. So I think they have flirted with this with Preston Smith, you know, an undersized upfield interior pass rusher on throwing downs, a little something, a little bit of a change up. But that's easier said than done because that means you're putting Harmon, Benton, Cam, one of those guys off the field in those situations. Although I do think they'd like a variety. Frankly, it's rough to say, but that's how this league works. It's kind of put up or shut up time for Leal. And that doesn't mean that he's a bust, but it's getting to that point where I can't really keep the experiment going, because it is a bit of an experiment. You know, like Logan Lee profiles to being a 3-4 defensive end, and you could see that the day they drafted him, where Leal's a little different than what they've had, but they're way more flexible with these positions than they have in the past. So, but all of a sudden, you know, how many are you going to keep? I mean, if Sawyer's going to make the team, are you going to keep a 5th outside linebacker? Are you going to keep 7 or 8 defensive linemen? Probably not 8, that's for sure. And does Moon have more value because of special teams? I could see Leal not making the team, or I could frankly see him, as you said, getting us excited again as he was starting to before his injury and becoming a factor this year in the role they envisioned. You know, when they drafted him, he was super highly recruited. There is ability there, but you can't wait around for these guys for long in this league. It's time to head to the track for the first leg of the Triple Crown. The Kentucky Derby is here. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your Kentucky Derby info and sports betting action, with the largest selection of odds from everything from NBA to NHL playoffs to the MLB, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline has you covered for all your online wagering info. In between games, head over to BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. The path. Is it likely the Steelers are looking to trade some players away in hopes of getting more draft capital next year, despite being in line for high-quality comp picks? I don't think so. I think that they are trying to walk that thin line of being as competitive as possible, namely with Aaron Rodgers this year, while having those picks for the future to really go in on a quarterback. Now, it's easier said than done, but I do think that's the plan. I mentioned Pickens is one guy that potentially could be on the move, or if the season goes in the crapper at the trade deadline, are they moving guys? It's possible. It really never goes that way, though. I mean, that would be pretty unprecedented. I threw out the other day, I mean, not just to get you guys excited, but with their cap space and with these extra picks, would it be a terrible move to add a veteran? You know, someone that's, I threw out Jalen Ramsey. I know that sounds crazy, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I would be leaning more that way. Get me one more piece on the O-line or in the secondary, because I have the cap space, and, you know, some of these teams that are up against it, you can get really good players this time of year for 5th, 6th round picks if you can handle the cap hit. So I'd be more in that camp, to be honest with you. Bobby Paul asked a really good question. Let's say the draft fell to you just as it did. It's the 4th round, and the Steelers are up, and Omar calls and says, "Hey, Matt, who should I pick?" What would I have said at the time? Because I think people know I don't love the Sawyer pick. So I went and looked, and I said, you know, put myself back in that scenario, not knowing who they were going to draft the rest of the way. And if they said, "Hey, Matt, it's your turn to make the pick for the Steelers in the 4th round, who would you take?" And I came up with a couple wide receivers that I liked at that spot. Jalen Lane was the name. Jalen Royals was a name I was really excited about at that point. Torrey Horton is from Colorado State, is banged up, but I think a year from now you could be really thrilled with it. And I was blown away that Anu Manor, the Stanford receiver, was still there. So I probably would have gone with him if I were to take a receiver. 2 corners I liked that were still available were Louisville's Quincy Riley and Zaw Frazier, who's just a traits guy galore. At this point, they had not taken the nose tackle type, and Jordan Phillips was my favorite available one, so I would have had no problem with that. But I probably would have taken Marcus Mabow. I think it's just pronounced Bow, M-B-O-W, the guard from Purdue, with the thought of maybe he's a tackle, but I think he's a guard. Really athletic movement type guy, with the thought of he could get stronger for the year, take over for Siamalu next year. Really good zone blocking, move on the move type of guy, fits the system quite well. So those would have been the names I would have strongly considered. And frankly, I would trade Sawyer for any of them right now. Not that he's terrible. It's just I like these guys better. So I haven't seen anything to change my mind. Hessian asks, if Cole Holcomb's fully healthy, what situations do you see him out on the field? Is he better in pass coverage than Peyton Wilson? Or will he be coming in when Wilson or Queen need a breather? Also, could he be a midseason trade candidate? Could be. I mean, he's going to have to put preseason tape out there to show the world that he's healthy, which I fully expect him to do. And I think he is fully healthy. A rumor has it that he could have been active for a playoff game last year had he gotten that far. I don't think he's better in coverage than Wilson. Queen pretty much never takes a play off. I mean, here and there, but I mean, very few. I think he's just the backup to both, to be honest with you. Maybe he plays 15 to 20 snaps a game, but I don't think he's going to be the Landon Roberts hammer while Wilson's in there in nickel and dime type of situation. No, I think it'll be Wilson and Queen as true every down linebackers, and Holcomb will be first guy off the bench, special teamer, backup to both. You know what I mean? Sick ass. Who are you more confident in for this upcoming season? Broderick Jones or Fautanu? I feel like Jones is almost a known commodity with some ups and downs last season, while we haven't seen much from Fautanu on the field. My answer is definitely Fautanu. Not that I think Broderick Jones is going to be bad. I think going to the left side, this is also a put up or shut up year type year for him. And also this time next year, they got to figure out if they're going to pick up his 5th-year option. That time is already here for Jones. I just think Troy Fautanu is a better prospect. I think he's going to be a better player. And and part of that's because we haven't seen really the negatives yet, where Jones has been up and down. It's not just because it's door number 2 and I'm not sure. What I have seen, I have more faith of him being maybe even a high-end offensive starting tackle. I think he has a chance to be really good. Jones does too, but he's just still a ways away. And I do wish people would be more cognizant of post-bye last year. Jones noticeably improved, so he might be turning the corner, and I still have pretty high hopes for both, but I'll take the younger of the two if I had to pick one, to be honest. All right, guys, that's a wrap. I will probably take the weekend off and get back to you guys with 5 of these next week, and I appreciate it. Great questions.